Alexa, stop music. Well, hello everybody tonight. It is your host and your friend, Del Brereton, and you are here on The Real Spiel. We're going to have a big conversation tonight. We're going to have a conversation about single mother anger management. That's right. Single mother anger management. It's a thing. It's a real thing. It's a real problem. It's a real issue. And, I know some people popped in and popped out. And that is fine. I'm going to go in and share to all those of my friends who are here on the YouTube sphere. Love you guys to join, to subscribe, to share, to like, all the things that people ask you guys to do. So you don't need to be told twice. Most of you are very savvy. So we're going to share it. For those who are not going to catch it and you're looking at this on the replay, you could have been on the show. You could have been on the show. All right. So just so you know, we're coming in here. I'm trying to catch it most weekdays. I've had a crazy work schedule, so it's been off a little bit. So forgive me for those of you who have been following and have been part of the show. I see Lady Cost in here. I see my boy Samuel. Good to see you guys in there. But we're gonna have it tonight. We're gonna talk about it tonight. I call it single mother anger management. And for those who didn't see the ad, I was using Tariq from Power and his mother Tasha. And for those who understand the dynamic of that particular show, what was taking place is that Tasha had ultimately a tug of war of who was she more loyal to? Was she more loyal to her man, or was she more loyal to her child? And her man happened to be her husband, and the child happened to be that man's son also. So we want to be clear about that. And I know that most women, when you just heard that sentence, many of you in your mind said, my child, my child. Some of you said, my child right away. Like right away, you said, oh, I'm loyal to my child. I'm loyal to my child. But I'm going to try to identify some things. And these things come from my experience, both as being a son, being a father, and raising sons, not being partners with the mothers for the entire portion of time the boys were being raised. And giving you an insight of now how these adults feel when they have been, I would say, misappropriated by their mothers. And I'm not blaming motherhood tonight. All of us have a mother, whether we knew her or didn't know her. Motherhood is a very important aspect of the rearing of a child. It is sometimes it is the first nurturing that a child receives. And a child who grows up without a mother has lost and missed a lot. But at the very same time, there is something I would refer to as the single mother. And the single mother is a very distinct and a very specific kind of mother. She's different than a mother who essentially raises her children, and especially in this conversation, her sons, in a nuclear family. She's a different kind of woman because of the environmental challenges of having to rear up a boy as a woman. And I'm not going to say alone, but without the living in the home of his father. And that is a very challenging task because as much as some people have heard it, you're going to hear again, you cannot turn a boy into a man as a woman. You can raise a boy, and you can do a very good job of raising a boy. Manhood is a club exclusive to men. And that boy requires to receive his dose, his initiation, his introduction of manhood by a man. It is very important that he gets a lot of man. Good to see you, Sister Eva. Good to see you. It's very important. Good to see you, Sister Shanette. That we get a lot of man when you're raising a boy. And so let me get into some of the high points of why this topic for me is extremely important. There's a problem, ladies, when you sometimes break up with the father. I'm identify a couple of things. You break up with the father and you emotionally retreat to the nurturing of the son. Let's say the son at the time of the breakup is a toddler or an infant and or a young boy. Um, a lot of times women retreat um, into the relationship with their son, somehow trying to pour the love that has now been severed for his father and pouring that into the boy. And when you are a young man, that is a very, I would say, refreshing, fulfilling feeling that you have a mother who now is exponentially pouring excess of attention and love on you, because she's compensating for not just your loss of a nuclear home and a father that is present, that is loving her and loving the household and taking care of the boy at the same time, but um, she's pouring into him also, I think, as a coping mechanism. And so for the boy, he cannot differentiate whether or not mom is coping with the loss or mom is pouring on love simply because she loves him. The boy is a recipient of what that mother is doing with him. And it's a very strange thing that it comes a time that that level of affection and attention actually becomes, and I'll say it in a way, futuristically toxic to the child, right? It's a level of attention that that woman cannot maintain with that boy for the rest of his life. So it is a relationship that ultimately will not stand the test of time. She will not. He will not always be her little baby. He will not always be, her little king, her little prince, right? At some time, the little prince, the widow baby, is going to grow up into a teenager. Let's start. We're not even getting to the man part yet, because most of you lose these same boys while they're teenagers, and you there's a lot of ways I've seen um, these women lose these boys, and I'll give you a couple. So the number one and shocking scenario I saw growing up, coming up, I would say growing up as a father, I would say it like that, is seeing some single women say, and it was prior to my boys being developed enough to go there, but I heard one single mom say, "Oh, I'm going to give my son condoms, and I'm gonna give him condoms because and I'm gonna let him bring his girlfriends home because I'd rather him be here under my supervision than be out there in the streets doing stuff, that I don't know about, and I'm protecting him by giving him condoms and allowing him at a very young age. I think at the time the woman who I was, and this was a woman in church who was telling me this is what she did with her child. The child couldn't have been more than 15 years old at the time, and so she basically felt that her overcompensation as the boy's stand-in father, um, was to give him a license to be actively sexual early, and to so-called give him condoms so he practiced sexuality in a safe way. So what I believe she missed, and some of you might think, well, that's a very she's smart and she that's a good thing, and well, the result wasn't that good because for those who don't know, you might start having sex as a 15-year-old boy, and you might have a condom, you might have a box of condoms, but there's no guarantee you're going to use those condoms every time you have sex. In fact, the whole context of a condom is for somebody who actually has the wherewithal and the discipline to actually use it. Condom could be right there, and you don't take the time to put that doggone thing on because you're a 15-year-old boy, or you're a raging hormone of a boy. And so she had this young boy basically coming home, bringing his little girlfriends home, and of course, what happened? He had a child early, right? And you know, and I thought to myself at the time, because my sons were way too young for that. See, didn't work out for you, did it? Didn't work out for you. That's a stupid thing that you did. You got the boy sexually going too early, and ultimately he's not mature enough to maintain that. Hey, Bray, it's good to see you, baby. So you go now on to another example. So I've seen women who now they're treating the boy again. He's the little prince. He's the little king. He's mommy's everything. And then what happens? They find a new boyfriend, or in the case I'm referring to, a new husband, right? And so now little king, little prince, little boo boo now has to deal with the fact there's a new man in the house. The new man is not his father, right? The new man loves his mother, and mom's emotions now have been split in half. And now little king isn't getting all the emotion because mommy's got a new boo, and little king isn't getting all the adoration because mommy's hoping that the new man will stand in as a surrogate type father, even though the boy has a father across town somewhere that is very involved. But this is what takes place in certain toxic scenarios where women break up with one man, and not only are they trying to replace the emotionality and the relationship that was lost for themselves, they are hoping that this new man will become a stepdaddy. And I'll tell you right now, in the Black community, and it could apply to others, but I don't know, so I can't speak for them. But the most, I would say, the job that nobody wants for the most part is stepdaddy. And I'll tell you, and as a man, I don't necessarily want to be a stepdad, especially to a boy who already has a father, who already has an active, loving, engaged father. That is, for me, a no-fly zone for me, because I'm going to bring it back to myself personally. I don't require any man's help to affect my son in the father department. I need a teacher's help, maybe to help him with some math. I might need a coach's help to help him with some football. I might need a professional dent. I might need a dentist or something. But to be his father, I don't need help. And I mean, it's maybe the analogy doesn't fit, but think of a songwriter writing a song, and halfway through writing the song, or 10% through writing a song, another songwriter sits down who you don't know, who does not have your vision, who might not even have your talent, and now says, let me help you write the song that you haven't finished yet. And the songwriter might look at you and say, well, bro, I'm Stevie Wonder, I'm Kanye, I'm I'm Jay-Z. I don't need your help to do this. And I'm a person, I don't need nobody's help to raise my sons. I don't need your help. I don't want your help. I don't want your input. I don't want your advice. I don't want your money. I don't want anything from you to raise my sons. And the fact that my son is here has nothing to do with you. And most likely the fact that my son is not with me, it still doesn't have like anything to do with you either. Right. And, the only job of a stepdad, the only job of a guy who steps into a scenario, and, and God bless you, bro, all these men who decide to take on women and the responsibility of them while their children are young, especially have young sons, God bless you guys, because it's not an easy job. Because the only thing that I need a stepdad to do is to tell the woman that he's now dealing with, my ex, stay out of the way while the man raises his son. That's all I need him to do. I'm going to stay out of the man's way. You're going to stay out of the man's way, because that's the man's son. That's all. That's all a stepdad needs to do. That's it. That's all he needs, for me at least. And and I don't want to hear the talk about, well, I had a great stepdad and his father. I don't want to hear that talk. Listen. I'm telling you right now, the majority of men. Okay, I've been on this planet for half a century, and I'm telling you, the majority of men that I meet in the Black community want to raise their children. Majority. I don't care how they had them. They want to raise them, and they don't want no help. Period. They don't want no help. They want to impress upon themselves, on their sons. And I tell you right now, these are from professional dudes to street dudes. They want to raise their own kid. And I've seen it. I've seen street dudes show up, take their kids to basketball, coach their kids, give their last, do everything in their compartmental power to do for their child. And you know what? That's their prerogative. If you're a poor man and you want to be a father, or if you're a rich man and you want to be a father, your quality of a fatherhood does not diminish based on wealth at all. It doesn't diminish based on education at all. If you're a father who wants to be a father in a child's life, in your boy's life, I say, if you're a stepfather, all you need to do is say, brother, I'm going to give you all the access you need. Short of giving you a key to the house, I'm going to give you all the access you need for your son. The problem, like I said, exists when this boy now is witnessing his mother reduce time, affection, and love towards him, little king, and pour it into another man. And I tell you right now, that is a form of it's not intentional, ladies, but it is a level of abuse when a child, boy or girl, but when a child now has to, and let me say who abused the child, both parents. Like when a child has to go through identifying two loving human beings as their parents, and then go through the breakup, and then go through mom overcompensating and dad potentially not being there all the time, and him maybe overcompensating, or him being angry because he's angry at mom and the logistics, and then go through a new man coming into the picture and mom taking back some of that love to transfer it now back to the new man, and him looking at a new man and saying, is that my daddy, or was somebody else my daddy? And is my daddy still here? And that's abuse. That's what that is. That is abuse. That is child abuse. But that is the child abuse that we in our civilization have accepted as being child abuse that is okay. It's coming through now. Okay. Worship Nation, good to see you. Good to see you. I'm sorry. Oh, you didn't have no sound for a minute? Okay. That's on your end. God's good to see you though, Worship Nation. And sorry you're not getting any sound. He'll soon see you. Okay, yes, I see the comments. I see all the comments. Let me see if there's any comments over here. No comments yet. So that's what I've seen now. When you have now these young men who have been traumatized, and trauma is abuse. Okay, you don't like the word abuse because you think it's intentional, but it is intentional. It's intentional when you decide to have children. These days, it's intentional when you decide to break up the family, and it's now intentional when you decide to move on to new people and engage those new people as being potential authority figures for your children. All these things are intentional, and the effect brings us to abuse, okay? Because you've traumatized a boy, and I'm talking about young boy, and I can talk about young boys because I raised them. I raised them myself from 0 to 29 years old. I raised them, and I'm telling you, I've seen it. I have more. Okay, so now stepdad trauma. Stepdads go through, I've seen this. I've lived this out, okay? Stepdads go through the process of course, compensating, because unless they're monsters, they're going to compensate to say that I didn't just sign up to be with this woman. I am also an authority figure with her children. I'm a father figure. And he is a father figure, unfortunately. Like I said, I just need him to be an individual to say, listen, I think you should call your dad for that. Your dad's coming to pick you up. Oh, hey, leave the boy alone. Let his dad deal with that. He has a father for that. All that stuff is what I believe. He's a facilitator to facilitate access, information, relationship between the boy and his father. I've seen stepdads do that. And I've been in a scenario where they've done that. But listen, let me tell you, that has a limit. And it has a limit when that boy starts to grow towards being more like the dad, the actual dad, than being like the stepdad. Because I'll tell you right now, if you have an involved father, and sometimes when the father's not involved, this is true, but I'm going to talk about the involved dad. If you have an involved father and you have a stepdad who's living in the house with the boy, but you have an involved father, I'm telling you right now, that child will be raised in the image of his actual dad. If you have an involved father, because an involved father will make sure you know, hey, how you doing with that man in the house? Yeah, okay. If there's any problems, let me know. Right? So right away, he's told that boy, remember, I'm the trump card to this dude. If you have a problem with this dude, you can come see me. He's not your real authority. I am. So that boy is always growing up thinking, okay, hey, I'm going to deal with you, but my daddy's right here. He told me if there's any problems, I can see him. So you're not really an authority here. You're kind of an authority, bro, but you're not really an authority. So even in his own house, stepdad is being undermined even before there's a conflict. Because if the dad is an involved father, I mean, some brothers are going to say, well, I'm going to need you to respect the stepdad. I don't know who says that. I'm not that guy. I'm going to need you to respect me, respect your mama. That's her relationship, whatever, just let me know what's up. If something's wrong, I'm not going to be refereeing a relationship with my son and another human being. If my son is wrong and I need to correct him, fine. Right. But I'm not going to raise him to disrespect people, but I'm definitely not building my son to have to cater to a relationship with a new man who might not even last with his mom. I'm not doing that. Me personally, that's not my responsibility. I don't have to do that. And so that boy is always going to know daddy's over here, this dude is here, and this is my mother. The only time those things potentially change is if there's an actual deterioration with the biological father and the stepdad steps in, and now the relationship with the stepdad becomes stronger than the relationship with the biological. And that's definitely things that happen. We see Shaquille O'Neal, other parents, we see other people rather, who that is taking place with. But let me go further now. When the stepdad's relationship with that boy deteriorates, the stepdad is no longer invested in making sure he keeps a roof over that head or that kid is in close proximity to him. All right. The stepdad pick up the phone and say, hey, bro, I'm going to have to put your son out. So you're going to have to come get him, or I'm going to have to call authorities again, but he can't stay in my house. Right. Live through that. I lived through that scenario. That's a real thing. That's a real thing. And what do you do as the biological now? Right? You're the biological father. And now your son is being put out of a house, his mama's house, really. I don't care who the stepdad owns it or anything. And that boy's mine. He's living with his mother. His mother got a dude. Mother got a new husband, whatever. But he's living with his mother. In his mind, that's my mother. You're a new guy. My dad's over here. And it doesn't matter if he's lived with the new guy for 15 years. He's still a new guy because he's not his father. And he's still newer than his father. He's still newer than his mother. And so that boy now is like looking at mom saying, you're going to allow this man to put me out of a house with you? Who you choosing? Who you going to choose? Are you going to choose me? Or are you going to choose this new stepdad? And I've seen the trauma that takes place when women decide, I'm going to choose the stepdad, right? But hold on. I thought I was Little Prince. You've raised me to think that I'm Little Prince. I'm your woo baby, right? I'm the little king. You've raised me to think that I'm more than just your son, I'm your man. And now I see that all of that was not true. That was a lie. That was compensating. That was a misdirection. That was delusional. You misled me to believe that I was the king, that I was your prince, that I was your most important person. And now you're just replacing me and letting a new guy become that guy and putting me out. Oh man, that's different trauma. And I'm telling you, it can affect the kid in a very serious way. Because even if the new dad, if biological, they say, well, the biological dad can come in and take him now. You can't all the time. I'll tell you why. Because that young fella has developed a life. He's a teenager now too. He's got a life where he is. He's got a nuclear life where he's got friends. He goes to the gym here. He goes to school over there. Biological dad might not even live in the same city. He might be living in a suburb area or whatever, but he might not be living next door. If he's living next door, fine. But still, let's say he's living next door. The son says, but this is my home. Why I gotta go live with dad? See, now, this is one of the things that you have to watch, men, you have to watch, is that, and I had to be very careful with it when I was dealing with my sons coming up, is that when you become simply a disciplinarian to your own son that doesn't live in your home, your house actually becomes a penalty box or a jail cell. Your house does not seem to them to be someplace to go because it's a new environment. Oh, it's my other home. No, you got to come talk to your son. I'm going to have to come send him to you because he's not talking to me properly. He's not. And if your house continues to be in his process of growing up, a place where he goes when him and mom are not getting along, and where you have to now talk to him and be father and all that stuff, your house at some period of time in his mind will be concretized as the alternative home, the alternative place, the place I go when I'm in trouble, the place I go when everything's not right, and where he lives will be considered to be his home. And so when he's in a scenario now and stepdaddy says he got to go, it's really traumatizing for him, even if you're nearby, even if he's just moving across the street, because mom has decided that this new man is more important than her son. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, I've lived through that. I've lived through that scenario. And, I'll try to help the mothers out. It's a hard place to be when your new husband or your new man now tells you, I can't deal with your children. I thought I could, but based on their behavior, based on what I'm seeing, what I'm dealing with, I refuse to deal with it. You got to choose between me and your child. Hey, that's a hard place to be for women. A lot of women are going to be like, well, I'm going to choose my child. I'm going to choose my child. We'll see. We'll see if you get into that position, because I've seen women choose the husband. I've seen women choose the husband. And those sons now are on the street. This is another example, another different example. Okay, I'm going to give you. When you look like your dad, right? When the boys look like that father that maybe, never worked out with the mama, like it never worked out. And, I never wanted to be with him, or he had a baby and he left me and he cheated on me and he never took care. He never cared. I loved him. He didn't love me. When you have that experience, and now that boy has all of the earmarks of his father. He looks like him. He talks like him. He has his mannerisms. He has his behavior. Let me tell you what's going on in that mother's mind, boy. Little Prince ain't Little Prince. Little Prince is mini daddy. He's the mini daddy, right? So you have two scenarios. You have the Little Prince syndrome, where women are now saying, that boy is now going to be the object of my attention and affection. I'm going to love him, and all the love I had for the dad, I'll just download it into him. And this is a different scenario. Now you got the women who are saying, all the hatred I had for the father, all the animosity I have for the father, all the things that he's ever done to me, I'm triggered by it every time I see this boy. And a lot of times, y'all don't even know. Y'all even know you're being triggered by the fact that the boy looks just like the father that broke up with you. The boy behaves like he reminds you just of the dad. Oh my God, that's exactly what your father used to do. You know, you're doing it just like your father. You know, you're just like it. And she's saying that stuff all the time. Oh, your dad used to disrespect me just like this, just like you're disrespecting me. I'm not going to have you disrespect me like your father. Your father never did nothing for you. All this kind of talk that they talk. And so when women start talking like that, what these young men are seeing or witnessing is mama is triggered and traumatized by my presence. And mothers, if you ever said to your son anything like, oh yeah, that's just like your father used to do, or you're not going to be like your father in here. You know, your father never did nothing for you. If you've ever said anything close to that, you're triggered. You are triggered by your presence of your son, and he reminds you, he triggers you into the trauma that you have not dealt with his father. And that is a bad scene, baby. That's a bad scene, because I'm going to tell you what happens with that. Ultimately, you and your son will never have a relationship, because you're going to disrespect him, because this is what's happened. He has grown up and he has become the man that you've hated. Not in his behavior and his he has become his dad, and you broke up with the dad, right? And actually, this happens with daughters too, a little bit. It's not as bad. It's not as bad, excuse me. I'm still getting over some little allergy thing. But it happens specifically with the sons. And watch this. If you find yourself that you cannot talk civilly, you cannot have a civil conversation with your young adult or your adult son, you're constantly criticizing. You're constantly trying to have some level of control over his life. You're constantly bickering with him like you're his wife, his girlfriend, right? You're constantly in arguments and shouting matches. You're trying to one up him. You're trying to, well, this is my house, and you're doing all those kind of things. Well, I'll put you out, and you know what? I'll get the police and you're doing those kind of things. You're not just extremely toxic, but you are demonstrating to your son, I'm actually treating you like you are the father. That's why I said that's your son. That's your son. That's not your man. That's not the man you left. That's not the man who left you. That's your son. And for some reason, in our community specifically, we have too many mothers, Black single mothers, that are raising these boys with anger issues. With anger issues, because you haven't dealt with the issues that took place with the boy's father. I better drink I got to get some of my host in here. Take a little sip. Right. It's good for the throat. Right. I ain't gonna tell you what it is, because got some safe folk in here. It's medicine. So you have anger problems, but your anger issues are not with the boy. Your anger issues are with the father. Because a relationship between a parent and a child should be unconditional. And what sometimes I've seen take place in the Black community, and the reason I keep calling out the Black community, and people who know, who listen to my show, 77%, no, actually that's not 77, 73% of Black women have children outside of wedlock. 7 out of 10 of you are going to have a boy or daughter outside of wedlock, and you're going to be dealing with what I'm talking about. You're going to be raising sons who potentially are either a reminder of his daddy, or a coping mechanism for getting over his daddy. So you're going to go in one of those two, and sometimes you do both. You do the coping mechanism first, then when the kid gets older, he becomes his daddy, and now you want him out. You want to do all kinds of stuff because he ain't talking to you right. He's disrespecting you, and da 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 da. Of course, he's going to disrespect you. How come you wouldn't listen? If you're my girlfriend, if you've been my girlfriend my whole life, and now you want to talk to me like you're my mother, I'm not going to let you. You're my girlfriend, right? You're raising me like we're dating. I'm 3 years old and 4 years old and 5 years old, and you dressing me in matching outfits. We going to church and matching. You're going outside, like, oh, this is my little prince, and I'm all that. And then when I grow up, you want to talk to me crazy. I ain't gonna let you, because that's not how I've been raised. You didn't raise me like that. You raised me like I'm the little prince. So treat me like the prince. In fact, I'm old enough. Treat me like the king. Oh, I'm not the king? What do you mean go clean those dishes? I'm not cleaning those dishes. I'm the little prince. Clean what dishes? Clean my room. Why would I be cleaning my room? You didn't make me clean my room when I was 3, 4, 5 years old. I was a little prince. You cleaned it for me. You did all my laundry. You took care of everything that I had to do. You allowed me to do anything I wanted. Now you want to give me rules? I'm a big man now. No, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna tell you to your face, I'm not doing that. You can't make me. I'm a man. You're like, wait a minute. Who is this? That's the boy you raised. And you can't call daddy now and say, can you help me bend this tree? The tree's grown. Tree's grown now. Can't bend that tree no more. That's what you got. You got that. That's what you got. But this is what you're not going to do. You're not going to develop a toxic relationship with you and your son because you overcompensated when he was young, or you are triggered by the fact that he looks like, behaves like, acts like, treats you like his father. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that, because I'll tell you what's going to happen. Like I said, you will have no relationship with that boy. He will sever all ties. The best thing aside from that first marriage not breaking up is for the stepmom dad to always encourage the biological parent to show every love to their child. And I agree. Right. And to be present. Simply to be present and allow a level of presence to be the stability of a child, like, and especially like if women are going through multiple dudes too, like you've had 4 or 5 boyfriends in the course of, or live-in partners or whatever in the course of that child's life, he's also not going to necessarily take you seriously, because this is the third one, and this is the last one I'm going to hit you with. I got more time than, oh shoot, I might have time for another one. Do you realize every time as a woman that you bring a new man into the life of a son, remember he's a boy, right? He's being raised like a boy. He's got boy hormones, boy. He's been cultured like a boy. You got him as little prince and all these things. Every time you bring a new man in the picture, you're cheating on your son with your man, because you've conditioned him to feel like our relationship, there's nothing between us. There's not even daddy is as close as I am with you. And so now when you introduce a new man in that boy's mind, this is the second level of trauma now. You're cheating on me with a new dude. You don't love me no more because you got this guy, right? You don't love me anymore because you have so-and-so and you want to be with him, and you locked up in the room with him, and you're going on vacation with him, and you coming home late because you're at his house, and all these things, right? You're telling me I have to listen to him and I have to call him daddy, I have to call him this. So you basically have developed a scenario where you are now raising a boy that doesn't trust women, or has an insecurity around women in respect to other men, because he's watching his mother, who raised him like a boyfriend, cheating on him with her new actual boyfriend, right? That's the messed up one. I'm gonna go on to this one too. This is a very prevalent one, so this is not news to most of you. But when you are constantly degrading that boy's biological father, you are not talking only to the boy, about the boy's biological father. You're talking about the boy. Okay? You're talking about the boy. And women, it's very easy for you to understand this context, right? If I get on here and say, you women, all you women, and I start like that, and I say something that has nothing to do with anything you've ever done in your life, you're still offended. Because in your head, you're talking about women. So therefore, if you're talking about women, you're talking about me, right? So let's put that in the micro department. If you're talking about my father, you're talking about me. If you're talking about my dad, you're talking about me. I don't let anybody disrespect my father. I don't let my siblings, I don't let anybody say anything negative about my father. Because I know subconsciously when they're talking about my father, they're still talking about me. And therefore, I have to defend him, because in defending him, I'm defending myself. I don't care what issue you had with him. That's your business. That's my father. That's my dad, right? This is why the Bible has these strange contexts, right? Where God says some really bizarre things. Like he says, honor, love and honor. He says, honor your mother and father so that your days will be long in the land of the living. Honoring is what God reversed it. God says, listen, I know that if you disrespect your biological father, you'll be disrespecting me. So I'm not going to let you disrespect your biological father, because then it'll be very easy for you to disrespect me. Right. And then he went further. He says, this is my beloved son, hear him. Because if you disrespect my son, you're going to be disrespecting me. You hear, see where I'm going. So there is a intrinsic relationship that is immovable between what that boy hears about his father and what he actually ingests about himself. And if my father was no good, then maybe I'm no good. And if my father was a hateful person, maybe I'm a hateful person. And everything, every rock you throw at the father, the boy gets licked too. The boy gets hit too. My mother can't stop. My mother had only really one sentence to say about my dad. Wait, your father gave me $5 single. Only thing your father ever gave me was $5 single. That's not true. And this is how this was inspired. And I don't mind breaching a little bit of my personal scenario, but I had a conversation with my son today. And my son told me something, man, it blessed me when he said it to me. He said, Dad, the stuff that I'm getting from you is the stuff that I need to be a man. So I ain't gonna say the other part, because the other part is personal. I just want to say the part that he said that affected me, because I don't want to be here disrespecting nobody's mama, right? He said, Dad, the stuff that I'm getting from you is the stuff that I need to be a man. I need it. I'm getting the thoughts, I'm getting the emotions, I'm getting all that stuff. That's the stuff that I need to be a man. And I'm telling you, man, boy, when my sons talk to me like that, I become quite a sensitive, emotional dude, because my whole life, I tell you, and people don't know my situation, man. I gave up, and my sons will tell you, I gave up a professional basketball career just to stay local to raise my children. I gave up travel, I gave up adventure, I gave up opportunity, because I said this. My father was never around when I was young, and I will not do that to my sons, because I know how it affected me. At 7 years old, I prayed, and God answered. I said, God, please be my father, because I don't have one. At 7 years old, I said that. God, please be my father, because I don't have one. And I'll tell you right now, God rolled in some men into my life. He rolled in, and most of them came in the guise of coaches, but impactful men, white men, black men, Asian men. God rolled these men into my life and affected my worldview, affected my my self-esteem, affected my manhood. They can some. I remember a coach told me some stuff that was fighting words. He said, Brereton, you're a I said, who's this little white man talking to? He said, calm down. You are. You're a I ain't gonna tell you the word that he told me. I said, what the how you gonna he said, you gotta learn to not be that now, because that's what you are now. That's why you can't get along with your teammates. That's why you're having fights. That's why you're doing this, because you're a right? Starts with an A, ends with an E. And in the Bible, they call it a donkey. But he called me that name. And I said, this man don't know where I'm from. And he's sitting in the car thinking there's no security around here. He crazy. But you know what? I had to be like, okay, this man was telling me something, because he's like, you're gonna miss opportunities in your life because your temper is just gonna put you in a position where you're gonna lose the things that you have in your hand. And that's what he was bringing to the table for me. And so God put all these people around me, right? And then at the end of the day, he came, knocked on the door himself and said, okay, I put all of these I call them these chamberlains, all of these individuals who were helping you be raised. Now I'm coming to finish the job myself, right? And then I eventually met my father at 24 years of age. I didn't meet my dad till I was 24 years of age. I didn't know I met him. I met him when I was young. I didn't know who he was, but I met him at 24 years of age, and our relationship continues to this day. And so what I'm trying to tell you, a lot of times, ladies, you don't understand the drama and the trauma that you're causing these young men by the toxicity that you're leveling towards them. And this is where I'm gonna close with this one. I think I got 5 minutes. So I can close with this one. If you have now raised a son and you are at the place where now you are having difficulty with that boy, you're having trouble with him, right? Especially a Black mom, but this can apply to any mom. You're having trouble with that boy. What you need to do, what y'all ladies need to do, is you need to go become a student of the temperament of his father. Anybody who knows me knows that I have become, remember when I was young, I wasn't that way a lot, like well, young, but I'm a non-argumentative dude now. I'm peaceful. I'm gonna laugh more than I'm not gonna argue with you. My sons have adopted that with me, 2 of them. One of them's still a little bit of an arguer, but he's getting there. He's the youngest, of course. And he got mama issues, so that's why he's still angry. But my sons and even my daughters are like that. You can't argue with them. Can't argue with them. They sit back and they watch you, be like, Are you want to have a conversation now? They're going to use logic on you. They're gonna listen to all this stuff you say and say, okay, well, you said this. You said that. You remember when you said, oh, you don't remember what you did. You said, no. Listen, I listened to what you're saying. They're going to sit back and pick your argument apart, because that's what I would do. And so if you know that you have a communication problem with that boy, you got to now learn how to communicate with his daddy and say, okay, let me test it out with him. Because if I can communicate with him, the prototype, I can communicate with the replica. And that's what some of you guys have missed, is that you do not have the capacity to talk to the boy now because you never learned to talk to the father, right? Geez, I can preach this. This is a message, right? If you have no relationship, the reason you have no relationship with the son is you don't have no relationship with the father. Church people know where I'm going. If you would have known my father, you would have known me also. Come on. This is the reason that you can't communicate with your son, is because you have never learned the mannerisms, the temperament of the dad. You think you might. I'll reverse it. If you have a good relationship with your son, you can talk to him, you can deal with him, then I bet your bottom dollar you can deal with his dad. Because you have learned the language of the men in your family. You've learned the level of masculine frequency to deal with the men in your family. And I'm telling you, we are more alike than we're disalike. And I got one boy who inspired this whole thing. He's my spitting image. He's all my toughness. He's everything. He's everything all rolled up in me, right? He might not be the intellect side of me, right? But his sister got that one, right? But he got the tough gene. He got the tough gene for sure. And he's my duplicate. That's my man right there. That's my man right there. And so when him and I chop it up, those are like just two lions roaring in the plains, roaring in the Serengeti, knowing each other's language, because we're exactly alike. Our temperament is alike. We got hot temper. We love passionately. Okay. We listen to arguments and we break things down, deductive reasoning, logical. You can't talk to us crazy. That's the one child you can't talk to crazy. You might be able to talk to his brothers. Actually, no, only the oldest one is. He's so chill. You can talk to him crazy. He's chill. But you can't talk to the other two crazy. The older one, because he's older, he's more like the version of me now, but he's always been chill. The other two, you can't talk to them boys crazy. And so when you get now a relationship and you have a relationship with these boys, ladies, I'm gonna finish it here. And you find that, man, I'm arguing with my son all the time. That's your problem. You're the one who's got the problem. No. You got to go see his room. You got to go. Who cares what his room look like? I don't care if his room's messy. I don't care what he's doing. If you can't talk to him, that is your problem. And I'm going to close like this. If you have raised a tiger in your house, from the time the tiger is a cub, you fed that tiger milk, you carried the tiger around. And now that tiger is an adult tiger, and that tiger is roaring, it's fighting you. It's not the tiger, it's you. You raised the tiger wrong. You did something with that tiger now, has issues with you. And guess what? It's going to be very difficult to go back and retrain a wild tiger. That's where I'm closing. Deal with these boys when you have the chance. Ladies, when you have the chance, this single mom anger ain't going to work. From the time these kids are 16, 17, even younger, some of them, because my mom couldn't deal with me from the time I was like, I say 12. Okay. 12 years old. I think she hit me last time at 12. And I said, that's the last time you're going to hit me, lady. I told her, that's probably the last time I called her anything close to mom. I said, lady, that's the last time you're going to hit me. Last time. At 12, I'm 6'2", 185 pounds. That was it. I was right. I was like, nah, you're not going to hit me ever again. Okay. I'll tear this whole place apart. You're never going to touch me again. And I was dead serious because I wasn't going to respond to abuse when I was big enough to stop it. Right. That was the old Caribbean. I'm not saying my mother abused me. I'm not going to say that because every whipping I needed. Okay. Every whipping I needed. I was a boy. She was a mom. She had her Caribbean style. That's how Caribbean people, they just beat you for nothing. And I was like, okay, well, you can be somebody else, but not me. I'll be whooping people on the street. I'm not coming in here and letting you whoop me. That's not going to happen. Right. So I'm just letting you know, ladies, the anger part of your presentation, it's got to change. You got to raise them as boys. You got to now start respecting them as men. Got to talk to them with respect. You got to understand they're not going to agree with everything you say. You got to be in a position where you got to be like that old country singer. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and pray to God that you don't say nothing that make you have to run. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it right there. Single mother anger management. It shouldn't be the case. All right. Again, this is your boy. This is Uncle Dell K. Brereton. This is the real spiel. I keep saying May. It's June the 29th. For our singles, we're going to be at the Drake Hotel in Toronto. It's 1150 Queen Street West. We're going to be there 6:30 to 11:30. It's going to be a very nice night. Getting single people together, those who are single, I mean real single people, okay? Not you people that declare that you're single, but real single people get together. We're going to come together. Going to be a nice event. Hope to see y'all people out there. It is a young people event, so it is for individuals who are in the, I would say, the young category. I'm not going to put an age group on it, but it's a younger event. Going to have a younger crowd there, so it's going to have younger music and these kind of things. So that's the event that's happening on June the 29th, 1150 Queen Street West. It's called the single soiree at the Drake Hotel. Okay, love you guys. Take it easy, and we're going to talk to everybody soon. We'll see you soon. Alexa, Real Spiel playlist. I didn't do that right.
Your playlist, Real Steel.
Oh, I did it.
On Amazon Music.
We gone. Until next time. Uncle Del, I will tell.